Scone Palace in Scotland boasts 1,000 years of history. It is the ceremonial site where Scottish kings were crowned.
Possibly the most historic place in Scotland. And it is where the likes of Macbeth, Robert the Bruce were crowned or inaugurated. Gosh.
And modern royalty have left their mark here too.
This one is the present King Charles's tree. He wanted to plant a seed of Lebanon on the Moot Hill, and we still had this gap left.
When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But it was also a little daunting. I became a Viscountess, and for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was quite a shock. I live with my husband Luke, heir to the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset. Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all. So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Viscountess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses.
Scone Palace stands majestically on the River Tay, on the route north to the Highlands, close to the city of Perth. In 1803, the medieval house was transformed into the splendid Gothic palace we see today. Scone is one of the most historic sites in Scotland and welcomes over 100,000 visitors each year. For over 400 years, Scone Palace has been the family home to the Earls of Mansfield.
Hello, good to see you. Welcome.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome.
Hello. Lovely to see you again. And I had a splendid walk down and just, wow, so impressive.
Good.
The history here is pretty immense, basically 1,000 years of it. So one of the struggles that we actually have is we have two pots of history. It's kind of the medieval royal coronation history, the forming of the Scottish kingdom, and then there's our own family's sort of Downton Abbey story.
Right.
So, yeah, you have to juggle the two a bit.
Yeah. Because
that's very fun.
because you have so much history. You've got 1,000 years of history. I mean, that's pretty
There's
impressive.
a lot of stories to tell.
All those Scottish kings that have been here to be crowned. I mean, it's quite something.
I know. I feel that's why I got a sort of little bit tingling when I was walking up, thinking, incredible. Okay, so little tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Which way?
Yeah. This way.
Because this is vast. This is a vast home. I know we can't. How many? Can I just ask? Approximately how many rooms? Come on, Sophie, give me a number.
About 120.
Yeah. Originally it was 120. Now a few walls have been taken down. So it's probably a few less, but originally 120.
Okay,
Quite a
well,
few.
that's incredible.
It's a lot of dusting.
This is one of the rooms. This is stunning.
This is the state dining room. This is where Queen Victoria came in 1842. That was a major event that happened here.
The table and chairs were all specially made for her visit.
Really?
So that was the smallest thing we did. We put an entire new driveway and an entire new bridge in, put the building on the mains for the first time, brought a butler out of retirement because the new one couldn't hack it. You know, like really went mobility.
Because this is what happened when royalty would arrive. You would not just pull out all the stops, you would build things. You would make sure that they were comfortable, that there was the right furniture, that you had, as you just said, a new drive was built.
A special bedroom suite for her and Prince Albert.
No.
All specially done. And
Stayed for one night.
I was just about to say, guess how many nights they stayed, and you ruined that. You ruined that, William.
All of that for one night. Yeah.
But for a very, very special lady.
But for a very special lady, you know, so absolutely.
I'm thrilled to announce this week's video is made possible through a paid partnership with BetterHelp.
As someone who understands firsthand the challenges of navigating life's pressures and the need for a supportive ear, I recognize the importance of prioritizing mental health, especially in today's uncertain world. And just as we devote time to exercise for our physical well-being, nurturing our mental well-being is equally essential. Their online platform simplifies the process of finding a therapist. By answering just a few questions, you can typically be connected with a credentialed therapist within 48 hours in most cases. To begin your journey, simply click the link in my description, betterhelp.com/American Viscountess. Not only does this support our channel, but it also grants you a 10% discount on your first month of BetterHelp. It's an opportunity to explore the benefits of therapy and its impact on your overall well-being. With options for therapy ranging from phone calls to video chats to messaging, you can choose the method that suits you best. Sessions can be scheduled at your convenience, fitting into your busy life seamlessly. Just as we invest time in physical exercise for our bodies, let's invest in our mental health as well. Over 4 million individuals have chosen BetterHelp to embark on a journey towards a happier, healthier life. If you believe therapy could be beneficial for you, I encourage you to consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/American Viscountess. As I prioritize my physical health, I'm equally committed to nurturing my mental well-being. Recognizing the importance of both is fundamental to leading a fulfilling life. Once again, I extend my gratitude to BetterHelp for their support of this channel. Take care, and remember, seeking support is a sign of strength.
Now, what's that over there? Is that sort of what it is now? I'm just looking at that model.
You've got it
Yeah.
absolutely right. It's before and after.
Yeah, the one
Right.
here, this is the 16th century building. This is the building that we were gifted
Okay.
by James VI of Scotland. And that's what it became in 1800.
No.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that if you just picked up that and dropped it on here, boom,
Yes.
you can see the same sort of quadrant.
Yes, 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 you can. Oh my goodness. So it really has properly evolved.
Yeah,
And
it's
this-
evolved, but the foundations are very old still.
Yes, exactly.
Originally, Scone was a religious site.
Right.
And a kind of a site of power, similar to Westminster, essentially.
Right.
So where kings were crowned, where parliaments were held. In fact, the first recorded parliament in Scottish history was held here. The reason why it's a palace is because originally it was an early Christian church, and a monastery, and an abbey. When you
Right.
have an abbey, you have an abbot, and the abbot lives in the abbot's palace.
Okay.
So their name is a relic of that.
Okay. Right.
We came along post-Reformation in 1605, 1607.
Right.
Time period. And it was this guy that did it. David Murray of Gospety, later Lord Scone, and then later Viscount Stormont.
I see.
Slightly dubious character. Like, we've got some characters that we can be very proud of.
Right.
I'm still pretty proud of this guy. He's a cool guy. But at the same time, it was a dangerous bit of Scottish history. A lot of things were happening.
Yes.
A lot of people were on the move. And I think we benefited from that. But we are not the head of the clan. So we are Murrays. Not
Yeah,
the
I
head
was
of the
gonna
clan.
ask
We're
you that.
cousins who did very well for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was a cousin of the people who became the heads of the clan,
Right.
later the Dukes of Athol.
Yes.
We kind of span out about 50 years before, and then the whole clan actually was on the make.
Okay.
And we did
Okay.
particularly
But you
well.
are related.
We're very proud to be Murrays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Very proud to be Murrays.
Brilliant. So okay, so we can thank him for this tour today that you're giving
Yes, we
me.
can. Yeah.
And-
this is the state drawing room. So this is the sort of the showstopper room.
Right.
This is the one where actually originally there would have been no portraits in here. So this
Okay.
is, yeah, you can see here this sort of now slightly dilapidated. It's on the long list of things to do.
Right.
Silks. So originally, and we actually have a copy. We'll put
I'm
up at the end.
going to climb over this.
I
I'm
love
going
it.
to go-
I love that.
Yep. I'm
I
going
love
to
it.
show you what it looked like.
Yeah. So this was this kind of, think of it as like a Victorian disco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
This would have, because all these silks would have been in this wonderful blue and gold.
No.
This
And
is
in the candlelight, it would have all been shimmering away.
It would have been this bright. This is this is an original piece which was
Yes.
kept in a drawer.
Kept in a drawer, and then wow.
Yeah. We're hoping to take sort of about 10% from everybody's tickets and put it into the Silk drawing room fund.
Right. Yes.
Build up enough money to be able to restore this room.
Yes.
And it's going to be a massive amount of money.
Yeah. Of course. Well, of course it would be. It's really nice walking in here. I know that this is, roped out for the visitors, but all the photos here of your family to show that this is a family home. And that's what's so, so, so important. There you are.
Quick name drop.
Yes.
This desk was given to the second Earl of Mansfield by Marie Antoinette. They were busy mates in Paris. He was the British ambassador there, and she referred to him as the Le Bel Anglais, which is pretty good going for a Scotsman, especially as it was just before the American War of Independence, when basically the British and French were already fighting each other.
Of course.
So he was one of the major players in our family history.
Oh,
and she
wonderful.
gifted him that table.
It's beautiful.
And when it was new, the leaves and the flowers would have been vibrant greens and coloured, and it would have all just been like a painting. But it's all faded with sunlight over the years.
With time, sunlight, yes. But it's still here.
It's still here.
Which is brilliant.
So this is the library, which I know you're going to say, where are all the books? There are some books here, but there's the collection of ceramics.
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
And in particular, here, the big painting over the fireplace is the first Earl of Mansfield. So there was David Murray to put us on the map.
Yes.
We then actually had a pretty rough time for about 100 years, primarily because we backed the Stuarts, who became the Jacobites.
Yes, yes.
And we were there we were very, very loyal to them. Too many times, and we were fined, we were jailed, we were fined again. It was not good. So when this guy was born in 1785, the palace was in a massive state of disrepair. And he had a good name, and he had a good education in the grammar school in Perth, but basically that was it.
Okay.
And he himself had this incredible trailblazing career in England, then Britain, as a judge, as a lawyer and then a judge. And he became...
So he brought in money.
Yeah, he became Lord Chief Justice, the longest serving in history, and was said to be the second most powerful man in the British Empire, second to the king.
The king,
Yeah.
yes.
An incredible individual.
Right.
Yeah. And his legacy is still very active today, because he essentially reformed British common law
Right.
at a time when the empire was growing. So a lot of your own law in the States, especially the commercial law, is all based on his work.
Wow.
So he's referenced about 24 times a year in Congress.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
So this is the Long Gallery.
It sure is.
Lives up to its name.
How long? How long?
I think it's 180.
I thought it was 150, but you're probably right.
I haven't counted recently.
And it was the longest room in Scotland, but it is no longer, since they built a longer room at Holyrood Palace.
Okay, so you're second.
Well,
That's
second.
okay still. You still...
Second to royalty. That's
Right, exactly. That's all right.
Thinking of that. Many important events took place in here. Charles II processed down here before going out to have his coronation. That's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. Right, so here's my fun fact about that. So Charles II processed down here because of our forebear, the first Earl of Sandwich. Did you know that Edward Montagu was sent on a secret mission to bring Charles II back from exile and crown him?
That's
and
amazing.
that was Edward Montagu, and that was why our ancestor was given the title Earl of Sandwich, because at that time Sandwich was a great naval port. So there you go.
We
So
will find out.
We
are
didn't
we
get a
so-
title for that.
Are we kind of connected then? I mean, a little bit. You know, I
Definitely.
feel right at home now knowing that Charles II processed down
And maybe
here.
your ancestor came here with Charles II
Well, yeah.
because he came to Scotland first. Before, yeah.
He brought him back 1660, and then he was crowned 1661. Yeah.
Yeah.
But incredible. So you've had Charles II here.
Yeah, he was the last king to be crowned.
Right.
here.
Okay.
Yeah. But we were still, the legacy continues. So a rather ridiculous event took place in here when Queen Victoria came, which was a display of curling, which typically takes place on ice outside. But because it was the wrong time of year and she didn't fancy it, they did it inside.
here.
Yep, they did. They did in here.
Took up the
That's
carpet
right.
on the
Curling
wood.
is that I see it on the watching the Olympics. I actually never knew as the American what curling was before.
It's what everybody did after work. There were state teams, village teams. There were no computers, no TV. It's what everybody did in the winter, and it was a great community sport, and everybody did it
my
on the
goodness.
entire estate. So it was a really good bonding session, and they all had a terrific time doing it.
So we've got Charles II, Queen Victoria, crowning of Scottish kings. Who else? Come on.
Well, I've got.
So we-
I
we
want
got
to
some-
quickly
we got
show
some
you.
props as well.
I want to quickly show you this book, which was written by Queen Victoria, and the family was sent. It's called Leaves from the Journal of Our Life in the Highlands. It's a well-known book. But the fun thing about this book is inside is a letter from Osborne House in the Isle of Wight, and it's addressed to dear Lord Mansfield. And it says, the Queen desires me to enclose a copy of her book. And it's from her lady-in-waiting, who's the Duchess of Roxburgh. But the fun bit in here, and it writes about their visit to Scone, the fun bit in here I thought you'd like, Julie, is that one of the paragraphs says, Lord Mansfield and the Dowager Lady Mansfield received us at the door and took us to our rooms, which were very nice. And that's a bit of fun because we've just received you at the door.
And I think your rooms are very nice. So,
And
that
you
is
mentioned-
wonderful.
You mentioned the Charles the Second connection. This is quite a fun little box. It's got the royal coat of arms on the front, and inside, speaking to our family's connection, there's the man,
Right.
Charles II.
Wow. And this was given to the family, or
This is probably a little statement piece,
Right.
kind of like the Jacobite piece is saying, we know who we are loyal to.
Right.
For too long.
Exactly.
Because there's also a memorial to Charles I on the bottom.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So this would have been a little something in a room somewhere, so people would
Wonderful.
understand we know who who we are loyal to. So what's quite fun here, little coronation display. You can see here the invitation to my great-grandmother, Dorothea. You can see on it number 92.
Yes.
So number 92. We're quite pretty happy to be in the top 100 for starters.
Yeah, I say.
Here is a coronation chair. Can you see here? Number
92.
Number 92.
So she got to take the chair with her?
You're not allowed to pick it up and walk out. You do have to pay for it.
Right, you
But
do,
that's part of
right.
the tradition. I'm not sure if they do it this time around. But it's quite fun,
still,
that
that
direct
is
connection.
fantastic. And number 92, you're right, because there were over 8,000 guests at the coronation of Her late Majesty Queen
And
Elizabeth
that's
II.
probably because her husband was the Lord High Commissioner to the Church of Scotland.
Right.
So he was the Queen's representative to the Church of Scotland. So quite senior.
Scone Palace is steeped in royal history. One of the many treasures is so precious it's safely stored away. In 1567, Mary Queen of Scots was captured and imprisoned in Loch Leven Castle. There, she was forced to abdicate in favor of her son, the future King James VI of Scotland. And it's while the Queen was imprisoned that this exquisite treasure was created.
The American Scots had 4 ladies-in-waiting, all called Mary. There's a famous poem about them. It's Mary Beaton, Mary Seaton, Mary Carmichael, and me.
Right.
And Mary Beaton's was the aunt of Sir David Murray of Gosparty, First Lord Scone, First Viscount Stormont's wife.
Right, wife, got you. Okay.
And I believe that Sir David Gosparty, Lord Scone, Viscount Stormont, was on the loch side and was part of her rescue party when she escaped her imprisonment. So somewhere along the line, we were given these embroideries.
These embroideries. This is incredible. Now, if you had to have parts of it, did it have to be restored?
Yes.
Yes.
This will be sun damage.
Yeah, you can
Right,
The
sun
darker-
damage, but then you can see
That
here.
hasn't been sun damaged.
Right.
So they were made probably as bed hangings, and the side of the bed that was on the window side would have had the sun damage.
Yes.
Well, this
you
bit
can-
is much.
You can see here the little S motif for Stuart.
Oh
my. Just there. And then a wonderful collection, probably, of the plants and the bugs, the insects that they could see in the gardens at Lochleven. So a lovely thistle here, apple, and there are some fun, maybe not on this piece, but there are raspberries, strawberries. And
Look at and a little.
Here you can see raspberry. See.
Yes,
And
yes,
they've got
yes,
strawberries.
raspberries. Yes. Oh,
Another wonderful thing here.
this
Now,
is
how they would have done
extraordinary.
it, they would have done the individual designs on linen, and
Okay.
then they would have been cut out and they would have been put on the velvet. In order to stitch it onto the velvet, they'd have used gold thread to cover up the edges and
Right.
to secure it to the velvet. And you can see the gold thread
Yes.
round it all.
It's exquisite. So what, now that this has been, it's back, it's restored, what's your plan with this?
What would be lovely would be able to get some display cases so that our visitors would actually be able to get up close and look at them.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd have to be very careful about the sunlight.
Yes.
Shall we open up the other box and then we can have a look at what's in
Yes.
that one?
You can see it might be.
The complete bed hanging is an astonishing survival. The intricate designs of each piece beautifully worked.
Hope I've not got it upside down. Let's see. Yeah,
Oh,
upside
wow,
down.
wow.
That's the back
Right.
of it.
But that's quite interesting to see that, actually. It's really
Yeah,
interesting
you can see there's
to see.
the outline of
Yes,
whatever
and then the
plant is.
thread, is that the gold thread that would be outlining that? Or what do you think?
No, that isn't. That's just tacking it. That's
Right,
tacking the
tacking it,
design.
okay.
That's just tacking the design on. Let's have a little.
This is wonderful to see that, though. Oh, my goodness.
It's quite damaged, that's some of that.
Yeah,
But you can see
yeah.
different animals appearing
Yeah,
all
look
the
at
way
that
along.
centipede type
Yes.
thing.
But look at this. This color is still rather rich there compared to.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful.
You can flip it over if you want. We can keep going.
Oh my goodness.
We can just imagine them sitting in captivity in a small walled garden. This is basically all they could see.
Yeah.
So they're just
So they
putting
just put
this
it-
to paper, as it were.
This sort of represents the time that they were imprisoned. All of this, just what they saw, the world that they saw. Incredible. What a treat.
Perhaps the most sacred area of Scone is out on the hill alongside the palace. For centuries, this was the ceremonial site of the coronation of kings.
This is the reason why people come to Scone.
This is what
This
I
is
have
it.
been waiting for. I'm so
This
excited.
is it. This is the spot.
Yeah.
This is the spot,
This
isn't it?
little mound of earth is possibly the most historic place in Scotland. It's called the Moot Hill,
Right.
and it is where the likes of Macbeth, Robert the Bruce, and others were crowned or inaugurated. So the Christian element of that ceremony would happen in the abbey,
Right.
and then the kings would be processed up onto here,
Okay.
to be proclaimed by the people in what was more of a pagan part of the ritual, which meant that some of them were slightly more reluctant to go through
Okay.
it.
Right.
So Alexander III, for instance, as a boy, about an 11-year-old boy, had to be dragged up here. So if that bit of the ceremony did not happen, you were de facto not King of Scots.
Oh
This
my-
bit had to happen.
Right.
And what makes it, I think, so cool is that it's called the Moot Hill, but it's also called the Boot Hill in a bit of cool sort of Scottish folklore. And it's called the Boot Hill because when all the magnates and the sort of the leaders from around Scotland came to witness a ceremony here, they would bring with them in their boots a bit of their own soil from their own land. And when they came here, they'd then pour it out into a pile, And obviously after many ceremonies, it became what is now the Moot Hill. But that meant that when your Macbeth or whoever it was came up here and trod on that pile, he was standing on a little bit of hill, a little bit of land that represented all of Scotland.
All of Scotland.
And making
right.
his vows to the Scottish people and everything else.
How
Pretty cool.
It's very, very cool.
Pretty
And
cool.
I'm able to sort of look all around, as you mentioned before, sort of Robert the Bruce, but then of course Charles II.
Yeah. Kenneth MacAlpine, often called the first King of Scots.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Big
I
names.
mean, yeah, big names. James IV, wonderful. So, but here, this is representing, let's talk about this, the Stone of Scone. Because we've recently just had a coronation,
Yeah.
so that many of us have witnessed for the first time, a coronation for the first time in
Yeah.
our lifetime. Recently had a coronation, and you know, it's all about that Edward I coronation chair,
Yeah.
Stone of Scone underneath it. And tell us that story and how that Stone of Scone relates back to Scone Palace.
So you got it right. Edward I in 1296 essentially commissioned his men to come here to take the Scottish regalia and other such symbols away.
Right.
That included, then the prize piece was the Stone of Scone, otherwise called the Stone of Destiny, which he then carted back to Westminster, and that's where he then commissioned. So the stone preceded the chair. He commissioned someone to make the chair to go around the stone. So then he could, in a very symbolic way, sit on it.
Right.
In terms of his dominion over Scotland.
Okay, I see.
But it was taken from here.
It was taken from here. And what year was that roughly?
1296.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they knew Edward's army was coming. They had 2 weeks warning. So what do you think the abbot might have done?
Well, hit it. Yeah. Yeah. Made sure that it was
Mine's
safe. Yeah.
Mine's done. Because some
Right.
people
Mine's
say it's
done.
a fake once over. Some people say it's a fake twice over.
Okay.
Because a bunch of students pinched it back in 1951 from the Abbey. Great story. And eventually they returned it, or maybe not it.
I see. So technically, it's been taken twice.
Been taken twice, at least.
Taken twice. But we do think that the Stone of Scone that King Charles III sat upon on May the 6th, 2023, was the real one. Is that right?
It is clear that the stone that was taken from here, whether it was fake or otherwise, was the one that appeared in the coronation. So the
Right.
one that was used in the successive coronations
Yes.
for many was the one that was used in the
Okay.
coronation.
Okay.
Um,
Fantastic.
Whether there's another one hidden
Right.
away somewhere, who knows?
Who knows? So fascinating.
But what I find most fascinating about it is it's made of local sandstone. So Kenneth MacAlpine bringing it here doesn't really make sense. But what I think is really interesting about that is that someone felt the need, one of these kings felt the need, somewhere between 840 and before Edward I pinched it, to introduce the idea of the stone being really very important.
Okay.
And that coronations, you could not be crowned king, you were not the king unless you sat on that stone and were proclaimed. So someone felt the need, and there's like this great act of kingship, making nation building, ritualization. They felt that they needed to do that.
To do that.
That's what I think is most interesting about it.
Yes. No. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So we're here on Moot Hill.
Yep.
And then, but that is in front of, what am I seeing here?
So this is the family chapel, and it is the last remaining element of the abbey.
Okay.
So and the abbey was a really very large edifice, about the same size as the palace.
Oh my goodness.
But stretching over here like that.
Right.
And that's where obviously the Christian element of the coronation would happen, and where a few people, like actually Robert II of Scotland, was buried somewhere here. We don't know where, which is annoying. But we'll find out someday. But
sure
this,
you will.
obviously, John Knox then came along in the Reformation. That didn't go so well. The abbey kind of lingered on for a bit, but was then taken down, and the last remaining bit was moved up here.
Okay.
And that became our family chapel, and the family crypt is below.
Down below.
No, can we go in?
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's
we
go
can,
and have a look.
yeah.
And what does this date back to? What I'm seeing here.
So what you're seeing here is a 17th century
Right.
built, like restoration of what was a transept, a side chapel,
Okay.
and that was then moved up here.
Right. Lovely.
So this is the
Very special.
Yeah, the family
Here we
chapel,
are.
and the crypt below.
So the crypt below. So everybody's here.
Yep.
And we have a family vault as well, but ours is full. So I won't be buried there, but how is yours looking?
There's one spot left, but that's been left. So my great-grandfather and grandfather are out the back, so everyone's just leaving it for someone really special.
For someone really special. Well, this looks like a masterpiece.
It is, yeah. Done by a man called Maximilian Colt. Yeah, he did only about 2 or 3 of these, so this really is something special.
So this was created, you said there's just a couple of these. What am I looking at here?
So the man in the middle, on his knees, is David Murray of Gosparty, who we mentioned earlier, the first Lord Scone. So the first guy in our family, essentially.
Right.
Surrounded by his mates on either side, the Earl Marshal and the Earl of Kintore. And essentially, it's a little note, a little chat between David and God saying, I wasn't all that bad, please let me in. Yeah, let God. I'm slightly overstating it, but it's kind of true.
I love it. It's a letter to God. But this is so wonderful to see this. It also just reminds me that, we have to remember that, several hundred years ago, to show off your wealth and power and how powerful your family was, something like this would be commissioned.
And by Scottish standards, this was like, whoa.
Right.
But then down south with you lot, maybe a few people had these. Up here, that sort of European import of talent, this was exceptional.
Yeah.
So it would have been a major statement piece.
Yeah, it is absolutely exquisite.
Moot Hill isn't the only feature in the landscape at Scone, which has grown in remembrance of royal occasions.
Is it true that there are a lot of royal trees here?
Yes, it is. If they come and visit, we like them to plant one.
Right, and is that
They've done it
something?
for a long time as well.
Right, so it's sort of tradition, is that right?
Yeah.
That you come to Scone Palace, you are a king or queen or emperor, that's right. You've got many, it's not just British royalty, is that right?
Yeah, international royalty as well.
International royalty. And they come and they plant a tree, yes? Yep. Because this is so important in history, Scone Palace.
Absolutely. I mean, it goes right back to Mary Queen of Scots.
And beyond, James V.
James V.
Oh my goodness.
So 500 years or so.
Right, of planting trees.
Planting trees.
Right, so what's this one I'm looking at here?
This one is the present King Charles's tree, but he planted it in 2010 as the Prince of Wales, and he wanted to plant a cedar of Lebanon on the Moot Hill, and we still had this gap left. So it'll grow and grow and grow, and eventually it'll be the cedar of Lebanon that we all know and recognise, those really, really sort of big trees. There's a famous one in the scene looking at Highclere in Downton Abbey.
Yes, yes, of
Lady
course.
Mary sits under.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And so this is the James V tree. So potentially the oldest tree on the property.
Wow.
500 odd years.
No.
Still going somehow, despite the middle bit fell off. It was blown off, ripped off in a storm in 2010.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
May, very late storm, but it came down because all the leaves, they suffer worse when the leaves are still on the trees.
So just down there, that's the James I or James VI tree. So that dates to around 1600, maybe earlier.
Very old oak.
Yeah, very old oak. Somehow standing. It's all rotted away, but still somehow
Really?
standing.
Yeah,
It's
quite
a lot like that in Windsor Great Park, at Windsor Castle, when they start retreating
They
back.
die back. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's in full bloom. I mean, do you have sort of a tree surgeon coming out, looking at these
Yes,
trees and making
constantly,
sure?
absolutely.
And then this lovely tree was planted by our former monarch, Queen Elizabeth.
In 1967.
No. Oh my goodness. So
Yep.
she had only been queen for just over a decade.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's
Very young. In her 30s then.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
A Norway maple.
A Norway maple planted by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, 12th of October, 1967. How wonderful.
This is the second tree planted by Queen Elizabeth.
2012, her Jubilee year. She came for lunch. It was so exciting.
She came for lunch here.
Yeah.
Were you here?
Yep, I was here with my 3 daughters. Sadly, William wasn't able to come back, which was just really, really upsetting for him. But our 3 daughters, there was a big lunch party in the Long Gallery.
Big gathering.
And how did you know that she was, I mean, how much in advance were you contacted to say the Queen would like to visit?
A good 9, it was a good 9 months.
Right,
there was
right.
Lots of
preparation.
Lots and lots of preparation. And it was a really, really big day.
Oh, and was the public allowed to see some of that, or was it very private?
Yes,
yeah, no,
yes,
right.
Yes.
The public were all lining on the Queen's Drive.
Yep.
And so she planted the tree.
Yes, and we deliberately chose this place because in time, her ancestor's tree will eventually come down. You know, it's very, very old now.
James V.
James
yes.
V. And I planted it far enough away, I hope, to allow this oak to grow up next door to it.
Yes.
So when that comes down, we then have a lovely, majestic oak in its place, planted by the late Queen.
What a wonderful memory. And, you know, you now have this, which will be here in her memory for hundreds of years to come. Fantastic.
Yep. And an oak, such a symbol of Britain.
It certainly is.
In the park, there is one very special tree which stands high above all the others.
So, Julie, this is a very, very famous tree at Scone Palace. It's a Douglas fir tree. It was planted from the first seed that was returned here by David Douglas, who was born at Scone and was the son of Scone, who became a famous botanist.
Right.
And we are very lucky to have his original first tree. And as you can see, it is simply enormous.
Yeah,
It's
so
enormous.
He was born here and he was a gardener, a very early sort of junior gardener. And then he was sponsored by the 3rd Earl through his education and then to become this famous botanist, and went to North America and discovered a huge number of species, including obviously the Douglas fir, this being the first one that was planted. And he left this huge legacy in forestry. That guy had so much potential, but sadly he actually died really quite young, only about age 36, in 1834 in Hawaii on one of his expeditions.
No. Okay. So 1834, Hawaii, obviously a state of America, but during that period, Hawaii was called the Sandwich Islands. Get this? Because the 4th Earl of Sandwich, our ancestor, was a patron sponsor of Captain Cook, who then discovered Hawaii, and then called it, of course, after his sponsor, the Sandwich Islands. Yes.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Captain Cook also died in Hawaii as well. Well, Sandwich Islands. Yes. There we go. 2 reasons
funny.
I feel right at home here. Douglas fir and the Sandwich Islands.
Yeah, but also interesting tribute to various people in the 19th century sponsoring these great talents to go and do various things.
Yes, to go and explore and discover and learn. Yeah, and
David
bring it all
Douglas-
back.
Yeah, David Douglas brought back 300 plants with him. That was it, and he put his name to them. Yeah.
And it's incredible to think that this was just a seed.
Yeah.
And look
Yeah.
at it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We got-
enormous.
we got-
Astonishing.
Up and up and up.
Yeah,
we got
astonishing.
trees planted by royalty, and then trees that are royalty.
There
So
you
in the
go.
forestry world, this is royalty.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and people will come just to see this tree.
Yes, no, of course. I mean, I'm astounded by it. It's enormous.
Continuing my visit to Scone Palace, I explore hidden spaces.
This is a treat. Here we go. Lead the way. I don't understand where we're going, but
And get lost in Scone's very own tartan maze.
If we deviate from the rule, you can get lost for hours.
there's going to be a headline newspaper tomorrow saying Lady Mansfield and Lady Hinchingbrook lost, please help. We rely entirely on the support of our American Viscountess patrons in order to produce these high quality productions. And we would love you to be a part of our American Viscountess community as well. So do check it out. Here you'll get lots of benefits such as ad-free episodes, you'll get early access to all the episodes as well, plus American Viscountess merchandise, and a huge community of people who love stately homes, castles, and manors as much as you do and as much as I do. So
So do check it out. We would love to have you a part of our American Viscountess patron community. Details down below. Bye, everybody.